Stories of Stolen Childhood by Anish Jang. From the title itself, we get the idea that it is about the stolen childhood of some children. Okay, lost spring symbolizes childhood. Anis Jung is an Indian female author, journalist, and columnist who writes for major newspapers in India and abroad. She was born in Roorkela and belongs to an aristocratic family in Hyderabad. Her father, Nawab Hosh Yar Jung, was a renowned scholar and poet. Her mother and brother are also well-known Urdu poets. Now let's move on to the theme. The theme of the chapter is the grinding poverty and the traditions which condemn poor children to a life of exploitation. The two stories taken together depict the plight of street children forced into child labor early in life and denied the opportunity of schooling. So this is the main theme of the chapter which is to be highlighted. Now let's see the summary. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Sahab the Rat Picker. Sahab is a rat picker who scrounges the garbage deposits to sustain his living. He and his family, refugees from Bangladesh, have come to the big city looking for gold. He is unable to study due to the lack of schools in his neighborhood. So the first child that we encounter is Sahab. The narrator jokingly makes a false promise to open a school for him, but is later left impressed when he keeps approaching her inquiring about the school. Sahab's full name, Sahab-e-Alam, meaning Lord of the Universe, is ironical because he, along with others like him, is outright downtrodden. The author wonders if staying barefoot is just a tradition among the poor or only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. So poverty is another highlighted theme of this chapter. Recollecting the story of a priest's son. The author recalls a story about a man from Udupi who, as a young son of a priest, used to pray for a pair of shoes. After 30 years, when the author visits the place, she finds that the situation has slightly improved because the son of the present priest now wears shoes and goes to school. However, the author pines at the thought of the still barefooted rag pickers of her neighborhood. And we have a recollection from the past. The heaven for rag pickers, Simapuri. Simapuri in Delhi is home to 10,000 rag pickers, mostly Bangladeshi refugees, who came here in 1971. These people live in mud structures with roofs made of tin and tarpaulin. The ration cards which allow them to buy grains and the garbage are their means of survival. They believe that their transit shacks are a better place than their native villages that provide no food. Once in a while, the children manage to find coins and rupee notes in the garbage heaps. The author notices how such occasional findings help the children to cling on to hope and life. That's why garbage is gold for them, okay? They look for gold in the garbages. Discrepancy between Sahab's desire and reality. Sahab reveals his desire of playing tennis to the author. Even though he has managed to find a discarded pair of tennis shoes, the author knows the game itself is out of his reach. Contrary to his heartfelt desire, Sahab eventually ends up picking up a job in a tea stall where he is paid 800 rupees with all his meals. One morning, he meets the author on his way to a milk booth carrying a canister to fetch milk for his master. And the author observes how in the process of earning a few hundred rupees, Sahab has lost his freedom and carefree look. So the next boy is Mukesh. I want to drive a car, Mukesh and his family. Mukesh belongs to a family of bangle makers in Firozabad. Most of the families in the place are unaware of the illegality of their action in engaging children in such a hazardous industry. Even though children in such families take up the family profession, Mukesh wants to be a motor mechanic and drive a car. So Mukesh wants to bring a change. Mukesh takes the author to his house, which is one among many of the dilapidated houses of bangle makers, constructed in stinking lanes. Mukesh's father has been unable to change the condition of the house, and the family, in spite of working very hard. The family now consisted of the father, the grandmother, the elder brother and his wife, and Mukesh. So here also we can see the sustaining poverty in the life of Mukesh as well. which prompts him for child labor. Mechanical life of a bangle maker. According to Mugesh's grandmother, once born into the caste of bangle makers, they have no way out but to surrender to their destiny. The grandmother recalls how her husband finally turned blind after working for years in the glass blowing industry. The lives of the people of Rosabad are centered on bangle making. All their lives they work with colorful bangles, only to go blind in their later years. The author observes a young girl, Savita, and ponders over the life of women in that region. Before marriage, they make bangles possibly without ever realizing its sanctity, and after marriage, wear them. The only boon some of these people have is a roof over their heads, but they are not able to manage a proper full-time meal. So that much grinding poverty these people are having. The unfavorable social system. Even after years of slogging, there has hardly been any change. In the scenario of Firozabad, people seem to have stopped dreaming. The injustice of the social and legal system is the proverbial last straw for this already desolate section of people. The young men are bogged down by the police, the deceptive middlemen, and their own destinies, leaving them no choice but to give in to the imposed way of life. The prospect of Mukesh attempting to break this cycle seems to the author like a ray of hope, a small step but a start nevertheless. So Mukesh is bringing a change, as I have told you. Next chapter, an elementary school classroom in a slum by Stephen Spender. A very, very important chapter as far as you are concerned, children. So read the poem thoroughly, then just listen to the explanation. Sir Stephen Harold Spinter was a English poet, novelist, and essayist who concentrated on themes of social injustice and the class struggle in his work. He was appointed Poet Laureate Consultant in Poetry to the United States Library of Congress in 1965. So, children, the main theme is social injustice and the class struggle. The theme of the poem, An Elementary School Classroom, is the plight of poor children living in slums. He talks about social injustice and inequality. The poet Stephen Spender wants the life of the slum children be changed. He wants their poverty to end. He wishes them to live in healthier, hygienic, and beautiful environment. First answer. The poet says that the condition of the children in the slum school is pathetic. Their world is far removed from the open, healthy environment. They are as unwanted as the rootless weeds. Their hair is unkempt and they have pale faces, which clearly indicate their deprived and undernourished condition. So these are the main things. These children, as the tall girl, are stressed by the burden of their circumstances. They're exhausted both physically as well as emotionally. The paper thin boy is skinny. His eyes have a scared look. These unfortunate beings have inherited only disease and bad luck from their parents. One of deceased ones can't even get up from the desk to recite his lesson. However, there is one child at the back of the class who is younger than the others. His inexperienced eyes are full of hope and he is dreaming about playing games in the open. Apparently, gloom has still not enveloped him. Now we are moving on to stanza 2. The classroom walls have a dirty appearance as they haven't been painted for a long time. In other words, these children inhabit a world which is dreary and depressing. On the walls are displayed the names of people who have given donations. The bust of Shakespeare with the background of a clear sky at the time of sunrise is also displayed. The walls also have scenic pictures of Traverse Valley with its beautiful flowers presenting a world of the heavenly splendor. Apart from all this, the walls also have a map revealing the world outside. Their view from the classroom's windows is foggy and harsh. It represents a dark and bleak future with no hope for a better life. Their eyes can only view a narrow road which is enclosed with a dull sky. The poet suggests that these children are trapped in a hopeless situation and their reality is far removed from the literary world, which glistens with the beauty of nature, such as the rivers and the highland jutting from the sea. The pensive poet suddenly turns aggressive and feels that Shakespeare is wicked. This is because he misleads the children. He shows them a beautiful world of ships, sun and love, which is not only real, unreal for them, but it has a corrupting influence on these children and instigates them to steal and try to escape from their cramped holes. Their existence is indeed very sad. These emaciated children are so thin that it appears that they are wearing skins. The spectacles they are wearing have glass which has been broken and mended. Their entire appearance reeks of their deprivation. The poet shows his outrage by suggesting that the maps on their walls should show huge slums instead of beautiful scenic graphics. Okay, there's a contrast between their world and the world of the map. In a pacifying tone, the poet appeals to the governor, inspector, and visitor to do something to improve their condition. If there is political will, this map showing the beautiful world once outside can become the reality too. The poet hopes the authorities will realize their moral responsibilities and free these children from their grave like entrapments. He wants all the barriers to be pulled down, barriers that keep away true education from them. So the poem ends in a positive note of bringing a change to their life. The children must be given freedom to experience the wholesome bounties of nature. View the green fields and run on gold sand. Let them read books and let them breathe in fresh air. Let them discover themselves and let them be creative so that their names can also enter the books of history. Let them find their place under the sun. So the poetic devices are for, repetition and alliteration is there. Gusty waves, personification, like rootless weeds, simile. The paper steaming boy, metaphor. With rat's eye, metaphor. Surely Shakespeare, alliteration. From fog to endless night, also you have alliteration. So children, prepare well for your exam and I want you all to score 30 out of 30. All the best children. Attend all the questions, okay? Like bottle bits of stone, simile as big as doom, simile.